I'd put my hands on my head and walk backwards to his voice. At gunpoint, mind you. So 2002 and 2003, did the U.S. Gumball rallies. So both years of the Gumball, we took a 1973 Corvette, big block, 6-speed. I got it when I was 18 years old, frame off restoration, 4 years. Still have it now, 22 years later. It was 500 horsepower back then. Called it a road race car, but it was more of a pro touring car before it was a common term. So also, because of the car being metal flake green and very loud, and also we were in a mix of a bunch of Ferraris and Lambos and Porsches, so it stands out as it is, but it really stood out with a bunch of European exotics. So therefore, we definitely got a lot of attention from law enforcement. 2002 was the first U.S. rally. There was a lot to be figured out in the first rally. People were driving really fast, and we weren't quite ready. We kind of got separated from the group. We were going New York City to L.A. We got separated from the group in Washington, D.C., which anyone knows Washington, D.C. traffic knows that it's very easy, especially before the days of GPS. And when you have a navigator who's not the greatest with a map, that's what happens. Anyhow, we were cruising down Interstate 81 in the middle of the Shenandoah Mountains in Virginia. We separated from the group, 2 in the morning, 80 mile an hour, just cruising, poking along by ourselves. And a TVR Tuscan goes by us at 150. So now we are pursuing the chase. He's in a Gumball rally. And started hearing a funny noise in the back of the car. We didn't quite know what it was. My cousin heard it too, so we ended up pulling over in an abandoned gas station and then alongside the highway in the middle of nowhere, and you see rear end oil coming from the rear end. So we knew we were pretty much in trouble at this point. So we end up falling asleep in the car. State police showed up middle of the night, gave us a hard time. Get up the next day, start making phone calls. Some local people tried to give us some advice. It wasn't very, very worthy, but I ended up calling my parents up in Ohio, and I said, find me a rear end. So they found me a whole rear end assembly. My dad drove down 7 hours with a brand new rear end to us. And with only the tools we brought, just a little jack and just tools, we completely did a full rear end change on the side of the road in a gas station. And it was interesting. I suppose if I wouldn't have restored the car, I wouldn't have had as good of knowledge of it as I did. We broke down at probably 3 in the morning. And the following day, at 3 in the morning, we were up on the road again. Rear end, brand new, ready to rock and roll. And we proceeded on our way 24 hours behind everyone else. So now to make it worse, not only is the first destination was Nashville, Tennessee. Well, we're in Virginia. Now we drove straight through from Virginia in the middle of the mountains all the way through to Dallas, straight through. And we arrived in Dallas 2 days later at 10 o'clock at night, just in time for the end of the black tie dinner party. And everybody thought we were dead, wrecked, blown up, abducted. And then we got to continue on, which made a very memorable first year. And then in 2003, we were a little bit more prepared, kind of ready for what was in store. We had some fun. We started in San Francisco, went to Miami. Things were doing good. Lots of fast speeds the whole way. But if anybody knows, 73 Corvette's not really made for top speed driving all the time. Started getting out west. We get down Mississippi, and we're on Interstate 20. We're cruising along pretty good, and probably doing 140, and we're coming in construction zone. And as soon as we're coming down the road, we're coming up on the barrier wall, local police pop out the other side, and that was it. So we knew we were done, and he flipped on his cherries, and we just pulled over in the construction zone just to wait. There was no point in really taking off because you weren't going to go anywhere. He was a pretty serious police officer. He had me at gunpoint and, throw the keys out, hands up in the air, take the keys out with your left hand and throw them out the window, and then reach outside the door with my right hand and open the door, which was almost impossible because you're trying to reach out and put your thumb in the door because on the Corvette you got to push it down. I get out of the car, I'd put my hands on my head and walk backwards to his voice, at gunpoint, mind you. And eventually he tells me to kneel down and put my hands on my head, and he cuffs me and puts me in the back of his car. So you kind of want to know why we were going so fast. We told him we were in the Gumball. And as we're sitting there in the car, everybody else is just flying by. And he's radioing everyone. red Ferrari, 100 mile an hour, just, and there nobody's slowing down for nothing. He goes over there and proceeds to tow my car. He was actually gonna tow it. I kind of told him, I says, you know, we need to get a flatbed. But anyhow, so he put it on a flatbed and he towed it. They stick us in Biloxi, Mississippi jail, which was nice and warm. And I had the joy of meeting the sergeant of the police department. He was babysitting in there, and he says, you know, we were looking for you. So all along, he says, Bolo report. He says, your car was listed as one of the cars. 6 hours later, and $1,300. And bail bondsman come and bailed us out. As we were leaving, we were greeted by the sergeant with the Bolo report, which was kind of nice. It's a nice little souvenir. So anyhow, we proceeded back on the road 6 hours later to eventually get into Florida, you know, way behind everyone else. So I found a local lawyer, as you would through like Ticket Clinic, and he helped me out and got me out of the situation. You know, bail bondsmen, we were fortunate it's out of state. Ohio does not, at least maybe not then, they did not recognize out of state tickets. So we had a bail bondsman come in, bail me out, and we got to proceed on to back into the Gumball Rally and enjoy one of the highlights of my life.
VINwiki wants to thank Auto Tempest for supporting our channel and making it easy for our viewers to find their dream cars. We love Auto Tempest because it allows you to compare the results from Craigslist nationally with all the top listing sites. So visit autotempest.com today and find your next dream car.